Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Toonkind FPS. I am Jade slash Megamarine, and today I'll be playing, wouldn't you know it, a very funny wizard, uh, Mr. Phineas Hawthorne. And with me, I have a um, time-sensitive, wonderful, amazing, lovely, uh, chronologically corporeal um, uh, friend.
Hi, I'm Oatmeal, and today I will be playing the Professor, time traveling, real kind space alien. Um, and yeah.
Yeah, so today, um, Phineas, to start us off,
Mm,
Phineas lives on top of a saloon that is owned by a friend of his,
hmm.
and sometimes that friend has him run errands
Hmm.
in exchange for, being able to live there.
Yeah.
So today, Phineas has been sent out into the Villestown marketplace
Hmm.
to acquire some ingredient for specific alcoholic beverages and such.
Hmm. Yeah, bar stuff.
Yeah, bar stuff. So Phineas has a uh, Phineas has a small basket that he's carrying around and is looking through the Villestown marketplace.
Hmm.
Uh, how's Professor doing?
Um, he's doing alright. Alright. I just rolled to, get a vibe check, and I got a 3. Um, So maybe this is one of the days where he's really restless, but he's been working on the ellipsis a lot. So he's in kind of a mood. And honestly, he's probably out here trying to get some different materials, like basic stuff like wires and I don't know, like basic little ceiling things and clips
My
and
my my brain is going through like I have like food items and like stuff that you'd see at a bar, and the
mm-hmm.
professor has like fucking uh car parts to
Yeah,
make a hodgepodge fixes to the ellipsis.
yeah, that's basically it. Yeah,
The professor is extremely focused, correct?
pretty much. Yeah.
Do we want to roll to see if they bump into each other? Like literally bump into each other?
Yes, yes, let's
Okay.
perception, I guess,
Uh,
or dex.
I would say
Like, what are we rolling?
since yours, let me see how focused Phineas is. I got you. Hold on. So I'm gonna roll the general D20 check to see how focused he is. Um, he's aware of his area. I would say you roll a dexterity saving throw.
Yeah, sure. Oh, all right, that's pretty good. His dex save is, yeah. Um, let's. I think that's what is that? 22. 22.
22.
Yeah.
Professor, you as you're walking by, you almost bump into somebody.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
managing to save yourself.
Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah. He probably uh like sidestepped, and he turns around to see the person he bumped into. He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. Wasn't paying attention. Oh, wait a second."
Phineas turns around uh, and looks at the professor, recognizing the voice, and just saying, "I know you."
Phineas.
Right. Professor, correct?
Yes. Ah, I was, meaning to ask you that one thing. Um,
You were just looking for me, just to ask me one thing?
no, I wasn't, actually. I was, here looking for something else. But I did intend on finding you at a later time.
Again, I do think you're far much than you can afford, but it's the thought is all counts, you know.
Wait, what did he say?
I do think I'm far more than you can afford, but it's the thought that counts, you know.
Oh my god. He just kind of like shakes his head and chuckles. He goes, "Well, you don't know how much gold I have."
That's fair. That's fair. Faces can be deceiving.
Mm.
Um,
But no, that's not what I was asking about. It was about that deity that was mentioned. We're kind of in the middle of. He sort of does a gesture with his hand, like a circular, like, we're in the middle of a market. We're kind of just like here, probably on the sidewalk. Like, there's stuff going on. Should we perhaps find somewhere a little less central just to have a conversation?
um, I may have a fix for that. And hold on, because Phineas has been switching out uh, his cantrips
Uh huh.
throughout the level ups.
Mm-hmm.
And Phineas just points at the professor and he says, "In your head, you hear, um, this could work, and we can continue doing chomping."
Ah, all right. Well, what was that deity's name? The crawling chaos. Said it started with a T.
Uh, Whew, what was the name of it?
It
I
was.
know that I know
Mm-hmm. It
I
was.
got it, but
Yeah, it was Teftkhurca.
Teftkhurca. Right. Yes, Teftkhurca, I believe.
Okay. Okay, that's not good. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's bad on several counts.
Are you familiar?
Unfortunately, not personally, but sort of secondhand. Oh.
I mean, same here. I'm far traveled, so you
Mm-hmm.
kind of pick up a couple of things as you go along.
Quite. Yes, no, I travel as well. But, well, actually, I did happen to be in Yedo, uh, bit over a year ago now, I think. And I spoke with somebody who told me about, this Teftkhurca. He nearly destroyed an entire town, for one. And, I mean, we already know he's the god of nightmares and control and masks and a few other things besides, I think. So, hearing that this is the same guy who is running the well, that the person running that whole show that we ran into is a follower of Teftkhurca. That's, I mean, we already had a pretty good idea that that was bad, but this is confirmation that it is in fact very, very bad. Oh god, I'll have to tell that fellow in Yedo that he's come back.
See, you see that as they're walking, Phineas pays a couple of copper at a fruit stand and buys like an apple. And just slowly takes bites out of it as as the conversation continues.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Professor is pretty focused.
Yeah. Phineas just asks, "So, this is what you're a professor of religious studies?"
Oh,
That's what.
stars, no. No, no, no. Uh, no, I didn't even know the local, I didn't really, the most popular local deities, I didn't know who they were even a year and a half, maybe 2 years after I'd actually come to Inkwell. Bit ridiculous, but I eventually figured out the who the Luck trio were. But what was my? Oh yes, I also know a young man who accidentally made an oath, a paladin oath with this deity. And as kind of a friend, I'm trying to figure out how to get him out of it.
I'm sad to say that unless you're looking for somebody who's well, I guess I am knowledgeable in Toon magic. That's about it.
Um,
I could research possibly breaking curses. I'm not really much of a breaking oaths and pacts and all that jazz.
oh sure. No, that's all right. We've got a few people on the case, I think. And it's between two. I mean, the deity's real kind and the boy is real kind, so Toon knowledge isn't really a factor here.
Hmm.
Although that is something I've definitely been interested in since coming to Inkwell. Your magic is fascinating. I don't think I've seen, aside from maybe some specific items of Toon make, I don't think I've seen real kind casters with Toonish magic around.
You see Phineas does smirk at that and says like, "Comes with a study, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
I've been I've been an avid study of Toonish magic and um, even managed to develop a couple of tricks of my own
I
as I've
see.
done so.
You crafted any spells?
Uh, a couple, yes.
That is very impressive. How? You're not made of ink. How do you generate? Or does the logic just sort of. Does that sort of get hand waved?
They okay. Oof. You're gonna get Phineas into a rant. So Toons inherently, and Phineas does like take out his book, and you can see inside of one of his pockets is a sleeping Skrunkly.
Aw.
Um, and he takes out his spell book and begins flipping through it. And this part he will say out loud because this is nothing. This is nothing that's technically wrong. Um,
Nothing
he just
private.
says like, yeah, Toons in themselves are inherently made of magic. So if you begin to study how they walk through the weave, why they able to pull off these bits in a sense, or jokes, or how they're able to survive such fall heights is because of their way that they themselves inherently manipulate the weave. And Phineas goes on a rant. So if you are able to somehow learn how to do that, you can do the same thing.
Really? You can sort of emulate Toonish behavior.
I mean, if you hit me, I can throw a punch.
I'm in the middle of a market. I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh, please. I'm asking for it.
No, I don't want to get in trouble. Do you know how many detectives live here?
Sadly, I do.
I mean, they know who I am, so they honestly would probably take my side. Look, I'm not going to... He's going to find a convenient alleyway.
Yeah.
All right. You're sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Unarmed strike. Oh, no!
How much is it?
It's bad. I don't think he hits.
What's your ace? What's a hit? My AC is 15.
Yeah, no, it's way less than... What the fuck is my to hit? Unarmed strike. It's an 8. I got an 8.
Phineas just grabs the punch. Okay, you're going to need to try a little harder than that.
All right.
Don't hold back.
He was too reluctant to hit this guy. All right. Let's try another one. That's not going... Can I roll at advantage?
Sure. I'm literally standing here for it to hit.
I rolled the same number again. I'm just gonna roll again. Okay, alright. I just want to know how hard he hits.
There you go. It's 1 plus your strength.
Yeah, no, I got... So that's the to hit, just 21.
Yeah.
He does manage, after a good deal of hesitation, to give him a good punch. It's only 2 bludgeoning damage.
2 bludgeoning damage? Make that 1. As Phineas triggers the Acme effect.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the way that... where's this punch landing?
Where would he have punched him?
Stomach is probably the safest bet.
Yeah, that's probably what he went for. I don't think he would go for the face.
Yeah. So with that punch, you see Phineas' body almost bend into it in the way that a Toon would squash and stretch.
Yeah.
Which looks really weird on a real kind body, but
Uh-huh.
it does happen.
Uh-huh. Huh. He just sort of, like, straightens up and just, like, looks at him with his head tilted. That's... You're sure
Barely
you're...
a scratch.
Right. You're sure you're not, like, I don't know, quarter Toon or something. I know there are some hyper-realistic Toons.
Believe me when I say I'm as real as the blood I bleed.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Mother was an elf, father was a human.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's...
Anybody could do it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm sure if I began teaching and actually spreading some of the spells I've taught, even some bards or druids could pick up some of them.
Huh. He does look interested. He's probably one of those classes.
I will say there are some. I believe actually all bards can pick up spells that Phineas has.
Oh,
It's all
nice.
wizards and all bards,
Hell yeah.
and then some classes can pick up some of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know there are some uh, subclasses that are like, hey, the basic stuff plus some extra spells.
No, this is just straight up like druids can pick up like two of the spells,
Okay, neat, neat, neat.
so on and so forth.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Interesting. Cool. Huh. That's that's
it's not like I'm the only avid study a person who studies toon magic. There's always I've read up a couple of how do you say uh, reports, not reports, papers. Uh, there's some avid books and stuff on the subject matter, but nobody's ever taken it as far as I have, at the very least, not that I'm aware of.
not that I'm aware either. I think I would have heard. That's
Especially for somebody who did not grow up in Inkwell.
quite. How how did you how long have you been here? And how long have you
In
been
Inkwell?
studying? Yes,
Um, I think almost a year now.
a year. So then
As for as for studying, I've been studying my whole life.
so you knew some tunes outside of Inkwell. I have to
Yep,
assume. Okay.
they were part of a circus.
Oh, I see. Ah, no, I suppose that does track. Huh. That's fascinating. You don't, hmm. See, the thing I would be concerned about with this sort of adapting sort of to another species' magic, especially a magical species, would be unintended effects, side effects, sort of repercussions. Have you.
Consequences.
Right.
I
Uh,
have run into some of them. When I was first developing some of my spells, they did not end well. But I've mostly worked out the kinks as far as I'm aware.
Interesting. Huh. And
I'm sure if I tried hard enough, I could manifest my magic. More of
manifest.
what is standard for wizards. But why would I want to? I like what I have.
Oh, well, sure. Certainly. I don't see what would be the appeal to make it look textbook. That's just not creative at all.
I hope I didn't bore you with all the magical mumbo jumbo.
No, absolutely not. I'm quite interested in all of that. Uh I'm not as much magic focused maybe in my studies than I used to be. But I was I did do a bit of wizarding for a while a long time ago.
No longer
No.
are you. Yep. Hmm. Decided it wasn't for you.
Um uh more bit of a uh how do I put this? An incident set me back, and my affinity for magic changed.
I see. Well, if you ever do wish to pick it back up, I am. Phineas thinks about it. I guess I am offering classes. You're not the first to ask. I have a friend, Juby, who
Oh, Jubilee.
you familiar?
I am.
Does everybody in this town know each other?
Well, I'm pretty sure you know Tome.
Oh, you're also familiar. Sigh. Biggest sigh you've seen in that man.
That's I did recognize your name when you first introduced yourself.
Oh, he spoke about me. That's interesting.
Not exactly. I kind of had to. The names he gave and the number of people he said were with him in that incident did not match up, so I made sure I got all of the names. Because I wanted to know, but he didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, well, it was a whole month.
I know. Believe me, I know.
Is there anything else you want to know about it? I don't mind talking about it.
I, there was an Ooblex? What did it do? Because he's... all I understand is that there was an Ooblex. It copied your guide, and was with you for a while, and I think maybe fought it or something. I'm not sure. It was unclear, but
From my understanding, there was a Nublex who ate 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 memories,
yes.
and in turn absorbed the feelings within those memories. And one of the feelings that most of us had was the feeling of being alone. Makes sense. That's what the deep, deep ethereal plane will do to somebody.
So,
And so I wanted nothing than to bring more people into itself. A never-ending positive feedback loop. Or I guess negative feedback loop.
yes, no, I see. Well, and Ooblexes are, generally speaking, regardless of type, typically, well, they can be sated temporarily, but their appetites are vast and ultimately endless.
But it was not a fun one.
No, I could tell that much.
Honestly, even spending a whole month with him, you barely got to know that guy.
He kind of winces at that. Did, he was in disguise.
Yes.
He was worried about Sebi not being who he thought she was.
Right. I kind of gathered there was some history between them, but
A lot of history. She was his partner, and he was under the impression that she died. Rather horrifically. which he witnessed.
I see.
So, believe me, we had a conversation about the fact that he was disguised and avoiding the problem, but I do understand why he did it.
Right, right. I have asked for forgiveness for that punch.
Oh,
I did punch him.
huh. Well, I don't know. He probably deserved it.
Oh, he definitely did, but now I feel kind of bad.
No. Hmm.
I hope you don't mind me asking, but and Phineas finally looks at whatever the fuck the professor is holding.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
What exactly are you working on?
Oh, a machine of mine. Um, it's rather complex. And
Is
I
it one of those car thingies that I keep seeing driving around?
no, although I do tend to pick up a lot of car parts in order to work on it because these are the some of the more hmm uh some of the more advanced technology available. And considering the machine itself is rather high tech, I do have some difficulty finding suitable materials for it.
Like, not gonna be very much help on that. Do you need any magical help of any kind?
Um, Not at this time. It's a bit dangerous to work on it right now. After I've sort of made it a little safer, I have some friends I intend to call in, artificers, wizard, to sort out the rest of the stuff
Right,
to
right.
help finish it.
You know many wizards. I've been meaning to. I've
Hmm.
heard about a wizards guild that exists here apparently.
I don't know anything about the Wizards Guild. I know a couple wizards. I know Tome's daughter Minami. And let's see, Dr. Crystal Everlight is a wizard. And then I know a Scribble Scrambles who he's maybe one of the best wizards I've met in Inkwell. Um, he's well, he's kind of in the process of moving, but he's got his fiance is the headmistress of UPA University.
Hmm. I might have to take a visit then.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, it should. He starts to say something and like stops and shakes his head like no, maybe not.
Phineas just says like I've been thinking about following in old teacher's footsteps and perhaps take on an apprentice of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe teach.
That can be nice.
Do something before sunset finally kicks me out of the goddamn place.
Mm. You're let's see, you've been here a year, I guess, in some sort of temporary lodgings.
I have a friend who owns a saloon in Villestown, and they have a tent. They have a bit of a small apartment up above
Um.
that they weren't using, so they are letting me stay.
I see, I see.
Honestly, this is exactly why I'm here. I'm running errands.
Ah, I see.
Are you want to drink?
Uh, um, I'm not sure how to answer that. Because, I, huh, I tolerate real kind alcohol quite well. But I learned recently that, Toonkind alcohol doesn't work quite the same on me.
In like a bad way or a good way?
I don't know. I He sort of does press his hands together in front of his mouth like I don't get drunk. Can't get drunk off of normal spirits. Off of abnormal spirits, for that matter. However, Toonkind alcohol, for whatever reason, seems to be the exception, which is bizarre to me because I've had drinks from across the outer planes and I nothing. But
Phineas chokes a little bit at that. What do you mean from the outer planes?
I mean, from the outer planes. I mean, granted, not all of them have an alcohol equivalent. Mechanus is, well, I mean, they do, but it's for, like, mechanical beings.
Okay, 1 second. Hold on. Um, when you said you were well traveled, I was thinking like continents.
Well, one of my primary areas of study is planar science. And, well, this doesn't necessarily follow. Plenty of people study it from the comfort of their own plane. But well, tend to go and see things for myself.
That's a hell of a trip.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's quite plane hopping is it can be messy if you don't know what you're doing, although I'm sure you learned that.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I haven't been to much of the outer plane. I have been within the Feywilds and the Shadowfell and such.
Oh, really?
Mostly by accident.
Ah, fair.
Luckily enough to get out unscathed.
Oh, yes. No, that can be dicey. No, honestly, I think I have more experience with the outer planes than the inner planes. I'd rather stayed away from the Feywilds for a long time.
I would not recommend it.
Quite.
There are some beautiful cities, but
No, worth visiting, but I don't think I could spend too much time there.
either way, that's beside the point. If you say that real kind alcohol doesn't affect you much, maybe you should try out some of Sunset's mixed drinks. I'm sure they'll have a kick to you at least.
Mixed meaning.
A bit of everything. There are literally real kind plus Toon kind alcohol mixed together. In some other sense, they are somewhat magically infused to have some effects.
Interesting.
So even if you don't get drunk off of them, they'll at least be interesting to take a drink of.
Well, that's better than alcohol usually treats me. Sure.
Phineas will give you the address to Sunset Saloon, which is technically also the address to his house. So you have that.
Nice.
Oh.
You,
Uh,
uh, didn't. Did you happen to suffer any ill effects after coming back from, the deep ethereal?
um, unless you count the heavy drinking I did after it, no.
Ah. Mm, no, that's more of a psychological response than a physiological one. Um, well, good. Good. Not good
I'm
that
pretty
you drank a lot. He just sort of, like, presses his hand to his forehead, like, put my foot in my mouth. Like, but, good that you.
Don't worry, I can handle my alcohol.
Mm-hmm. But good that you didn't, have anything else odd, happen.
No, no. From my understanding, metabolic rates slow down as well, so
Yes. Well,
we
that's
didn't have to eat or sleep as much.
exactly, exactly. No, it's the readjustment that, rarely, mind, can get a little tricky, especially if one is already in sort of poor health.
I'm lucky enough that I have a bunch of tricks up my sleeve, so
Good, good.
Sprunkly definitely didn't enjoy it, and he just puts a hand inside of his pocket, and you see he's scratching in there, scratching Scrunkly. It's too early for him.
Fair enough. Um, Phineas
Hmm?
would have been able to see that, like, while Professor gets things, and buys them, actually, roll perception just to see how much you get. Because you definitely see that he's putting literally everything in his pockets, and it somehow fits. But I want to see what else.
It's a
Okay,
16.
okay. He also, like, um, always pays full price and extra.
I see. And he just thinks maybe he can afford me.
It, either he's really, financially irresponsible and that's why he dresses like this, or he has a lot of money to throw around.
Got it. Remember, if you need money, ask Professor.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh. Phineas is not above being cheap.
That's fair.
Like, Phineas does haggle. Like,
Oh,
hold on, let me
absolutely.
actually. Yeah. Let me just roll persuasion real quickly.
As well he should.
A
Nice.
21. So,
Yeah.
yeah, usually getting like uh 50% off on most items that he haggles for.
Yeah, getting some good deals today.
Mm-hmm. Phineas will eventually ask, like, is your coat like a bag of holding?
Ah, um, sort of. That's, probably the easiest, comparison. It's actually, its primary purpose is something else entirely. I mean, well, aside from being a coat. But, the pockets do happen to be, enchanted for, extra dimensional space, yes. It's
Do you know where
this.
you got your enchantment from? Because I could use. And you see Phineas turns over his coat,
Mm-hmm.
and you see there's like all of the pockets are filled.
Uh-huh.
There's stuff popping out of it, like magical components and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
spell components and such.
Yeah.
Um, his spell book is in one of the pockets.
Um, I'm, uh, I'm afraid, the, hmm, uh, the people I got it from can't really, um, they don't make them anymore? Maybe that's the best way to put it.
Can Phineas roll insight on this? Because this is the most sus thing you've ever seen. Like, you can just say they don't make it, like, or they're not around anymore. Like, you can say they died,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that would be like far more believable. It's a nat 20.
Um, uh, um, he he does mean one of those things. Like, either they straight up don't make it anymore, or they don't exist anymore because they died. But he sort of walked around it in a circle because there's something else, and he can't talk about it.
I see.
So, like, that's why he didn't go for the easy answer and instead ended up being more suspicious by trying
Yeah.
to euphemize it a different way.
No kidding. Phineas will just think to himself, "Fine, keep your secrets." He's not gonna question it. It's fine. He'll just say, "Darn, I'll have to figure something else out then." I've been meaning to buy a bag of holding, but a bit short-handed right now.
Yes. Where was my... Do you, what, out of curiosity, what, prompted you to come to Inkwell?
Oh, and you see at that he turns a little bit. I have a brother, who stopped answering my letters
Oh.
for a while. Come to find out that he was involved in a plot of some sort, and
Oh,
he's okay now. So
good.
I also knew that Sunset, my friend, Bones Saloon, was staying here. So I decided to come by and see her. And it's not that I've avoided Anquil up until now. I just never had a reason to travel here.
Sure.
And I don't think I'm leaving.
It's, it's, almost too nice to leave. And, oddly, not in an insidious way.
I don't know. I don't like the amount of, as Juby would say, plots I've stuck my head into.
That is one Toon concept which I find myself having a lot of difficulty adjusting to or accepting.
You and I both. Honestly, I think it's. Can I share a theory with me?
Oh, sure.
Or can I share a theory of mine with you?
By all means.
Real kind to real kind. I think Toons, because of the way that they're predominantly made of magic, and the way that they themselves inherently manipulate the weave around them, have like a literal attraction to fate. Fate is the way that I've always seen it is fate is like a string that you can pluck on the weave, and tunes being inherently made of magic and the weave itself intercross it far too often,
Hmm.
or far more often than we would, and by being near them, we kind of get pulled along in a sense,
Right. Right.
almost like a gravitational pull in a sense.
Quite. That is an interesting theory. Probably has some merit. I don't know
I'm also
if.
not.
Oh?
I also just don't like the idea of fate itself being predetermined. So
Oh.
perhaps it's my way of excusing that. It's
Mm.
not that it's predetermined as much as it's just they pluck at magical they pluck at its at the fate itself more often.
Mm. Perhaps. Perhaps.
Also,
Hmm.
to somebody in the gallery saying it sounds more like a bard theory. He's a performer.
Uh huh. Well, that could be it. I'm not sure I see fate in quite the same way, but um, hmm. I I think I hmm. It's hard to say honestly whether I dislike um what it is or might be more or less than um the way that it gets invoked around here sometimes, because the idea of a force, overarching narrative that is pressed on people whether they will it so or not is disturbing. I dislike the idea of some entity or other having complete control over a set of people's lives.
I And you see, the thing is that I don't think it's like an entity. Um, I think of it like a natural force of the universe, kind of like gravity or time.
That is how I've heard it described, at least by one real kind friend who knows a lot better than I do. He's his religious group is heavily Toon based.
Well, I might have to meet this person.
Hmm. Satyr named Seeker.
Seeker?
Seeker, yes.
Hmm.
Well, named. Called Seeker.
You see, Phineas takes out his spellbook and writes down a note.
He's not a cleric, bard actually, but definitely got a religious bent.
Hmm.
He's tried to explain the plot and such things to me. Well, I have at least a slightly better understanding than I did before. Um, but still not very keen on it.
I guess I could see why it would make people uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think it just means there's a way to manipulate it.
I I can't say I like that either.
I mean, eh, not in a bad way. I mean, more of like to learn how to avoid it. I mean,
Oh,
Juby could travel on trains if he could. Uh, they could,
what?
not be pulled into a plot.
He's sort
Apparently,
of
Juby can travel. Apparently, Juby can travel on trains.
he just kind of squints. I okay. I don't think I knew that. Probably some trope thing related to, I don't know, his archetype or something.
That's what I theorize too.
Hmm.
I do wonder, would it be affect? Does it get affected by the kind of train it is? If you made a one cut, if something that was a one cut only, and put it on a train track, would Juby's trope trigger?
Well, see, here's the
Now I'm
thing.
now now Phineas is writing down like random experiments to try out with Juby.
Well, see, now here's the thing, is it might not be about the train. It might be about the train tracks. Because that in itself evokes a whole slew of tropes and feelings and symbology. The idea of living on the wrong side of the train tracks, or abandoned train tracks leading a path, a purposeful path leading to nowhere, a set route that cannot be erred from without catastrophe. It's a really rich vein. It might not be about the train itself, although that's certainly part of it. You can't have the train tracks without the train.
I am. Phineas is writing down most of these notes and thinking like, there's experiments to be made here. I might be able to help Juby.
uh,
This is actually genuinely good stuff. Now that I think about it, I might have to see if I can find a train that's not on tracks, perhaps in a museum somewhere. Although that could possibly bring other tropes. How do we isolate a trope? That's interesting. Hold on.
well, there are ways to do it, but it's difficult. And, well, it's certainly much easier, I think, in writing and creation to sort of have a perhaps narrative devoid of much else except for a single trope on focus. However, that's well, that's not the same. This is out here. Everyone sort of, all the tunes at least, and the places and times, even events, activities, have their own tropes, and it would be difficult to suppress them or strip them away, or even if it could be done, it would probably be, well, harmful and unethical. But perhaps they can be accounted for, like finding a constant for an experiment. If you can keep all the tropes the same except for one, even if there are other tropes involved that may be interacting with the trope in question, it could still lead to some insights.
I'm going to. Phineas is like, okay, I have a couple of ideas. First of all, it might require a trip to Furuma.
Uh-huh.
Isolating Juby from the weave that surrounds all of Ainquil might also help isolate that kind of trope. This is what I mean, by the way, when I say manipulating fate in that sense, or the way that Toons interact Toons interact inherently with the weave. All magic in of itself is about a manipulation of will, enforcing the will upon the weave. Toons just know how to do it innately, and I taught myself how to do it
with practice.
For lack of a better term, through sheer force of will.
Certainly. You had to sort of brute force it.
Yes. If I can learn the spell Fabricate, I can probably make a set of small railroad or train tracks, and then somehow get a small train. I wonder if you built a train out of like different materials, would that affect it?
Well, here's the thing. Now, hang on. Jubilee was on a trip in Yedo. It's actually the same place that deity's from. But he was there, and I didn't meet him while he was there, but I was on the same trip with a variety of other people, and they do have trains there. Now, you could ask him if he had any train-based experiences in Yedo. But if not, that could be a way, that could be a potential avenue for these sorts of tests. You could go, already has trains. They're pretty entirely real kind. And they've had trains at least long enough that there's probably a few derelict lines that you could appropriate for
And he's just writing
purposes.
all of this down. Like he's taking out his wand that you saw him use, and he's using it to write on his wizard spellbook.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
I see a future FPS with Juby called Isolating a Trope.
Uh-huh. Oh, goodness.
I mean, I haven't even thought about this kind of experimentation since a while. This is actually a very interesting line of study now that I think about it. I'm gonna have to. You said UPA University, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to see if I can do some reading, some thorough reading on this kind of subject before I actually do anything. See if anybody's tried it.
They do have a rather extensive library. I haven't looked into that myself, but honestly, when I was looking into sort of Toon and real kind interactions, it was more, I briefly investigated sort of the political end, but that was more for lack of context. Some things I didn't quite understand at the time. New to Inkwell, I mean. But, new to the whole Toon thing in general, in fact. But my point being, let's see, no. I was mostly focusing, on biology.
You mean like the biology of Toons? That depends entirely on the kind of Toon that you have.
Oh, I know. I know that now. Believe me.
I've done a little bit of reading. For example, UPAs don't really have much insights.
Mm-hmm. Yes. No, I've gotten a fair bit of that with actually some help from at least initially, from Dr. Crystal Everlight. She's actually quite the, in addition to being a skilled wizard, quite the, well, kind of the leader of her field in magical ailments and such. And, well, with perhaps maybe a focus on the Toon variety, just because she is a Toon living in a Toon country, but she has also rather extensively studied real kind. And, well, naturally, that's that would have to be, you know, that would sort of be a necessary sort of overlap in study, considering that there are half Toons and the like. You can't exactly simply not have data for an entire subsection of your pool of patients. It's ridiculous.
I can't imagine being a doctor in NyQuil.
She's not that kind of doctor. She's a researcher. In the medical field, granted, but not a physician.
Yeah. I know. I understood what you meant. I'm just
Yes, no.
the idea of being a medical doctor
Yeah.
here in Einquell
Yeah.
sounds like a nightmare.
It does. It really does. I had enough on my plate just trying to figure out how to take care of my Toon friends. Just trying to figure out the basics. It was it took a lot of reading, and it was difficult to find reading on it because Toons don't happen to very much like paperwork and writing stuff down, which you can imagine makes a lot of scientific study difficult and frustrating.
There's a reason why the leading specialist in Toon magic is a real kind wizard named Zan.
Huh. Interesting. I didn't know that. No, but still, I suppose that tracks. But, I mean, well, I guess what you've really got to do is find the ones who, against maybe the general trend, do enjoy writing things down. You know, there's always the exception to the rule.
Mm-hmm. My God, have I learned that here?
Quite. Well, you've got Dr. Everlight, and then, well, I don't know a lot of Toon scientists. Do I know? But, well, there's the lot up at UPA University, at least. I happen to know, I guess, the headmistress, some of the students, some of the professors.
You'll have to introduce me.
Yes. No, I think you would like it there. It's there's actually, it's not here in Villestown, despite being the capital of UPA. It is actually it's big enough. It's got its own city, UPA University in University City. UPA University City. I know, college towns, right? But
God almighty.
right. But they have their own teleportation circle. So
definitely have to take a visit.
Absolutely.
Maybe once Sunset actually lets me leave the goddamn house.
Hmm. Well, then I guess you've got the detectives. I guess some of them are at least tolerant of paperwork.
Speaking of detectives,
Hmm.
I found out recently that Tom is a father.
Yes.
You
Yes.
mentioned Minami. I haven't met them. I met
A detective.
one of his sons.
Which one?
One of their sons.
Well, you know Jubilee.
Oh, Jubilee is. That's surprising.
It is. Is it? And he sort of
I
like
mean,
stops
a
and
detective with a
considers,
thief.
like, is it?
A detective with a thief for a son.
Oh, well, I suppose, but then irony.
I guess that's true too.
Yes, no. Jubilee, uh, Minami. So then you must have met one of the other two brothers.
He starts with an L.
Leo. Leo.
Leo, right? Yes.
Right.
We met at a fancy party.
Really? Huh. That's.
Phineas just looks and like some aristocrat invited some people randomly to a ruby ball or whatever,
Oh.
and he lost his ruby
Oh, I
midway
see.
through it in the pudding.
Okay. That's. Did he at least. I mean, he had. Okay, Leo, was there anyone else who at least knew a
Home
detective? He
was
was.
there.
Tom was. Okay, okay. I swear on the outer planes, if he fucking swallowed the ruby,
He
I'm.
did not swallow the ruby. In fact, we found it. It was a funny debacle, honestly.
Okay, alright.
That aristocrat is not very smart.
Okay. I was going to get on his case because if he starts building a gag, I.
Does he make it? Does he make a habit of
No!
swallowing
He just.
rocks?
No, he just.
Usually,
No, he just did it once and it had terrible consequences and we were all very upset about it.
I would think so. He swallowed a rock.
I don't know if it was. I don't know. It doesn't. It was supposedly an accident. It. Oh. If you ever want an embarrassing story, ask him about
Definitely.
that.
I'm 100% asking them about it. Are you kidding me? Anything to embarrass Tom.
Oh, it's easier than you might think.
I mean, he was pretty embarrassed when I was dancing with him.
Oh, really? See, that's exactly it. He can be flustered very easily.
Do you also do that?
It was kind of an accident, but yes. He thought I was flirting with him on several occasions. Once was the first time I was ever drunk. I was drunk with him. And I accidentally kind of flirted with him.
I do not see what you could see in him, but go off.
He just shrugs. Look, I told him I wasn't looking for a relationship, but I mean, if I was, I don't know.
Uh-huh. Anyways.
Hmm.
uh,
So you went to this. How did we get here? We were talking about
Helping Juby, magic.
right. Oh, meeting his sons. That's right.
Right.
Yes. Nope. Got the 4 children, far as I'm aware. Bit of a newer development, you could say, at least over the span of his life. He's, as a parent, I would say maybe a little inexperienced.
Are you a parent too?
I, uh, well, what I meant to say was he is ex- inexperienced in being a parent. He dodged the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Phineas is not gonna question. It's fine.
Mhm.
Um. Uh. I mean, I could have told you that. He seems inexperienced in anything, really, apart from being a detective.
Mm,
I'll
he.
give him this, though. He's good at it.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, certainly. No, I think there's certainly other things that he's skilled at. Whether he or not he recognizes that in himself, well, good fighter.
I will. I'd say I've seen him fight yet, actually.
Hmm. And,
Hopefully, I won't ever have to.
no. You did pretty well yourself, actually, back in that market.
Thank you.
Uh,
I, uh,
I wasn't quite
I,
expecting the wizard to get that close to the melee, but you did well.
I, I've had my fair share of experiences having to be close to people, and so
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm
Good.
surprisingly quick and nimble on my feet.
Good. That's uh, certainly
Even if I am made
helpful.
of paper.
What?
Even if I am made of paper.
He squints. What do you mean?
It's a tune. It's a joke on. It's a joke.
But you're not.
He's squishy. He's
He's-
squishy, and he's not a tune, so he's joking about that.
he did not get it, I'm afraid.
Oh my goodness. Wizards not exactly known for their.
No, I know that.
I'm not a tune.
I know that. Yeah, no, sorry.
That doesn't matter.
mm. What did you, hmm. What was your read on that place? We didn't really talk about it much, except for the sort of initial, let's go do that.
Honestly, I only went in because Scrunkly felt. Scrunkly wanted me to.
Hmm.
Usually, I would not try to get myself involved, but
We call that trope morality pet.
don't. Don't. No. Anyways, I did not like it, obviously.
No,
Uh,
of course.
Especially the market part.
Right, yeah. I kind of wish we could have done more there. I mean, we did
I
the.
kind of wish I'd fireball the entire place.
Exactly. I wish you had too. I wish we would have had time and the opportunity after letting everything go, but we didn't really. And that was the more important. Well, that was the priority. But still, all that stuff. I'm hoping they weren't able to recover much of it. There was a bit of a commotion with some, uh, you know, not quite rampaging, large, uh, creatures.
Manticore. Like the. It's also that fella that we freed, the trench coat fella.
Oh, I didn't get his name.
No, neither did I.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm glad he was able to take care of the animals. I was not making much progress there.
I might have been able to do something. I just didn't want to deal with them.
Hmm.
I dealt with a lot of animals when I was in the circus. So.
Oh, you were part of it, I see.
Yes, I was in a circus.
No, you had mentioned there being a circus and that was how you knew um a bunch of tunes despite being outside of Inkwell, but I hadn't put it together that you yourself was part of it.
Yeah, Phineas will. Because I recently fucking figured out that he can do this. Phineas will grab like 5 or 6 fruits that he has in his basket. You see, he can cast Mage Hand, and he starts juggling with 3 hands.
Mm-hmm. Professor grins, amused.
It was pretty good in my time.
Mm-hmm. No, that's pretty good with the mage hand. That's a nice touch.
Thank you, thank you. And he does a small bow. I'm guessing like a couple of people stopped to look at him uh,
Probably a few.
with a couple of claps. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Um. Hmm. Well, I asked about your magic. I asked about the deity.
Actually, I have a question.
Oh.
You're royal kind yourself. Were you born in Ainquil or are you from outside?
Oh, outside. I didn't come to Inkwell until the last few years. I didn't know Toons existed until then.
I don't know much of the outside world, honestly.
Yes. So, a bit of a shock. I thought it was. I thought it was an elaborate illusion, honestly, for a few seconds.
An almost interesting theory. You know, I was supposed to be an illusionist before I picked up my school of magic.
What is your school of magic?
Um, it doesn't really have a name. I
Oh,
always called it.
it's.
It's. Uh, I toyed around with the idea of calling it Toonamancy before I finally just settled on School of Comedy.
Ah, I like that. I like that. Bit of a bardic flair, but oh, that's nice. Toonamancy.
Pretty sure I'm the only wizard that practices it.
You might be, unless that Zan fellow has figured out something similar.
I'd love to meet him, but I never figure out where he lived.
No, I mean, that sounds like somebody who'd be fascinating to talk to.
Right. The one thing is most wizards never want to be found by other wizards. That's the annoying part of being a wizard.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's maybe part of the reason I'm not a wizard anymore. I'm too extroverted for it.
I'm trying to break that trend. But yeah, I have most of my stuff gathered.
Yes, I think I've got all I'm going to find today.
It was a good talk. You definitely made the conversation more interesting than before.
And you.
You do have my address. If you do stop by, let me called upstairs. I'll definitely come on down.
I will. Absolutely.
Right. Phineas will extend a hand to shake before heading out.
Yep. Professor will shake his hand. Grin.
As he does, Phineas will cast a spell.
Super.
He's going to cast Rubber Stretch.
Oh my god.
And your arms turn into a rubber hose style, and you have +5 reach.
Oh my god. He pulls away and just... Phineas!
Oh, how did that happen?
Phineas.
Don't worry, it'll last a minute.
Good grief. It's a good thing I wasn't carrying anything.
Oh, don't worry, you still have full control of your arms.
He clearly finds it fascinating, but is a little maybe just a little ticked off that you cast without asking.
It's not harmful to law, don't worry.
Yes.
Alright, I will be seeing you though. Have a good one.
Certainly, and you as well.
And with that, Phineas starts heading out. Don't worry, it does run out after a minute, and they return back to normal.
He likes springing on that one on people, doesn't he?
A little bit. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Oh boy. Woo.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was.
This was an hour and a half. Holy shit.
All right. Okay. We should wrap up the recording.
Yes. Thank you, anybody who's listening.
Yeah. Have a good time zone. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.